Welcome learners. In this video, in this class, we'll discuss fundamental duties. In the last class, we have already finished DPSPs. So this is also, these are fundamental duties. Now the question comes here, does the original constitution contain fundamental duties? No, original constitution did not contain fundamental duties. It was added by it was added by the 42nd Constitution Amendment Act 1976. So these are contained in part 4A. And why 4A? Because earlier part 4 was there and part 5 was there. So this was placed immediately after directive principles, or rather we can call fundamental principles required for the governance of the country. So we have three fundamentals: fundamental rights, fundamental principles. We have fundamental rights, we have fundamental principles, fundamental rights, fundamental principles, then we have fundamental duties. These two are the duties of the state, and this is the duty of the citizens. But here, so already seen that these are contained in part 4A, article 51A. There is only one article, okay, that deals with fundamental duties. Like for fundamental rights and for fundamental principles, like DPSPs, we had number of articles, but for this only one article is there, and it says that they were not present in the original constitution. They were added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. And these are based on the Sardar Saran Singh Committee recommendation. See, Sardar Saran Singh Committee, it was formulated by, this committee, it was constituted by the then government during national emergency time. Okay, and this committee was tasked to recommend on fundamental duties. So what were the recommendations here? So recommendations were that a separate chapter should be there, separate chapter on fundamental duty should be there. Okay, and it also it recommended that there should be fundamental duty on tax paying, and it recommended that some of its recommendations, and these are present in Lakshmikant and other books also. Okay, I haven't added this in my notes, but sure, I'll discuss it. And it is also tasked that those who do not pay their tax, or those who do not strict to this fundamental duties, who do not perform their fundamental duties, they should be penalized. They should be penalized, and any law framed to create provisions, to have the provisions for these penal actions for not following, not stricting to, not performing fundamental duties, they won't be challenged in any court. That means above judicial review or beyond judicial review. Okay, so you see that a separate chapter was added. Okay, a separate adder was there and separate part was there. This was added, and this was not there's no fundamental duty that you have to pay your tax. Obviously they are it's not a fundamental duty, but still you have to pay your tax, because if you don't, and if you're caught, surely there are legal provisions to and there are penalties also for not paying your taxes. Okay, and then this part, the third part, this was the recommendation of Sardar Saran Singh Committee, and this was not added in part 4A. That means except these recommendations, those were recommended, and there are other important recommendations. I'm just talking about important ones here. Okay, so so one more thing. In 1976, 10 fundamental duties were added. Okay, and the last fundamental duty, it was added in 2000 by 86 Constitution Amendment Act. And what is that Constitution Amendment Act? It is really, if you can remember, 86 Constitution Amendment Act added three, okay, made changes in all the three fundamentals: fundamental rights, fundamental duties, fundamental principles, and fundamental duties. So these two we have already seen. So this we'll see today. And what did we miss? Acha, what is the rationale for bringing fundamental duties? Although there are conspiracy theories, will not stick to that. Okay, so the first thing was to address public indifference towards nation building. So during emergency time, it was followed that the public was not that interested. It was felt that the public was not that interested in nation building and taking a part in the government affairs or in public interest. Yeah, there was, okay. See, governance is always a two-way road. Okay, this is government, this is people. So it's a two-way road. The government should not only act alone, people should also act. Act means they should give feedback for whether whether governance is being carried on or not, or they should give their suggestions also for improving governance. So here also, if we have given certain duties, these two, fundamental rights and fundamental principles, these are the duties of state. Okay, that means the state is bound to perform certain duties as already enshrined in part 3 and 4. So if the state had certain duties, then it's not, there should be a reciprocity from the people side also. That means, and this reciprocity is explicitly or categorically mentioned in part 4a as fundamental duties here. So governance is always a two-way road. Okay, and balance. See, if you talk about any right, like you have right to speech. So you have your right to speech, but you have to also respect others' right also. If you have right to freedom of speech, then other person has also right to freedom of speech. You cannot say anything wrong about anything, about anybody. You have to respect that person's right also. So a balance should be there between between your individual freedom and freedom of other also. You cannot, if you have the right to practice your own religion, you have also right to let others practice their own religion. But the point here, the balance should be there, and this is done in the interest of the public. Why? Because if you have certain rights, you have duties also. No point here. And just let us read the preamble here. What is written here? We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, secular, socialist, democratic republic, and to ensure to all citizens. And who will give? Who has made this resolution? Who has made this pledge? Who has made this pledge? We, it is the people. We, the people of India, and to secure to all its citizens justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. So we have made a pledge that will provide, or that will secure that all citizens have justice. So isn't it a form of fundamental duty? Implicitly it's a fundamental duty. Many of the fundamental duties are already implicitly described or implicitly present in the preamble. So when 1976 by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, fundamental duties were added. It was just an extension, or what was made, this was, FD was implicit. It was indirectly mentioned. It was indirectly mentioned in preamble. So by this Constitutional Amendment Act, fundamental duties, it was made explicit. This was made direct. FD made direct here. That's what this says. Duties already existed implicitly in the preamble with the people. So let us say, so what are those fundamental duties here? Let us see one by one. Okay. See now, there's a classification that these duties are civic and moral duties. Civic duties are more straightforward. Straightforward means they are short. Short means they are specific. They are specific, and these moral duties, they are, what is morality? A way of life. Technically, so way of life, and these are broad. Okay, these are general. These are general in nature. Okay, and law regarding this, okay, is it's very difficult to be framed, but you can frame laws easily regarding this. Like example, an example of civic duty: you should respect your national flag. Obviously, you can create some points. If you can have a provision, you can create a law where how the national flag has to be respected. It is mentioned. But if you say that, okay, this is to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all religion of amongst all people of India, transcending. This is a moral definition, huh? Renouncement. Okay, how can you make a simple laws? Multiple laws have to be made for this. Okay, rich heritage of our composite culture. Okay, okay, these are broad, and these are more. Okay, the laws regarding this, it's okay, it's a bit difficult to be framed here. What my point here? Like say, so what does Article 51 say? It shall be the duty of every citizen. So the point here is, are fundamental duties available? Okay, or let me reframe the question. Are only citizens bound by these fundamental duties? Are they okay? Are only the citizens, okay? Are these fundamental duties only available for citizens, or only citizens can perform fundamental duties, or is it the obligation of only the citizens of India to follow to perform fundamental duties? Yes, because the Constitution says it. The first line itself, Article 51 says, it shall be the duty of every citizen of India. Does it say all people? Does it say people? All people, or does it say people? No, it doesn't say. That means only citizens of India are obligated to perform fundamental duties here. So what is the first duty? To abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions. Abide by the Constitution, yes, and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem. Yes, we can do that. How do you respect the national flag? Okay, flag code is there. All the provisions of okay, how you need, okay, what will amount to disrespect of the flag, how you have to unfurl the flag, how you have to hoist the flag. Each and everything, it's mentioned in the national flag code. What the point here? It's a civic duty because it is specific, and law regarding it already exists here. And this second here, so it's a civic duty here. Second is to cherish and follow the noble ideas which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Okay, so this is fine here. It's a sort of moral. Okay, moral duty here, because it's a bit broad here. Like the question said, to cherish and follow, yes, noble ideas which inspired our national struggle. Now the question comes here, which inspired our national struggle for freedom. What ideas? There were multiple ideas were there. There were revolutionaries also. The revolutionaries idea also. Okay. Resort to violence. So the question comes here: should we cherish this because it comes under this freedom? This duty. Then we have leftist idea also, communist idea also, socialist idea also, capitalist idea also. Yeah, the Bombay Plan. It was a capitalist idea. Unless and until you have capitalist class in your society, who will do the investment? And until and unless you have huge investment, progress is a bit difficult to maintain. You may say that you may resort to primitive way of life. That's also fine, but the condition, the environmental conditions have changed. Diseases, bacterial diseases and lifestyle diseases also there. If you don't have a multi-specialty hospital, it would be very difficult to treat diseases. To the point here. So capitalist ideology is also required for the development of a nation, and the capitalists have also played Ratanji Tata, the Bajaj, okay, and other names and other industrial houses also. They have played a very important role, okay, in the national struggle. So this is a bit generic here. Okay. To uphold and protect the sovereignty, integrity, and unity of India. Okay, point here. To defend the country and render national services when called upon to do so. To promote harmony. So this is E. Promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood among all people of India, transcending religion, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities. Okay. To renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. These are also generic here. Okay. Let us see. What we have: follow ideals of moral duty here, moral protect sovereignty. This is also defend the country and national services, defend the country. Yeah, this is a civic duty. Promote harmony and renounce practices here. So this can be termed as both civic and moral here. Why? Promote harmony and brotherhood. Like if you see, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Okay, you can bring laws for this. Can you bring a specific law for this to promote harmony in the spirit of common brotherhood? It's a bit generic. It's a moral principle here, but this part means the second part, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. This can be termed as a civic duty here, because laws can be framed for this. The point here. So now we have, okay, we have duties F to H. To value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. This we have. To protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Yeah. How do now here? To protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and okay. So this part, up to this part, it can be termed civic duty. It says that to protect and improve the natural environment, including. You can protect your environment. Okay. Okay. This duty is a bit specific, but if you see this distinction between moral and civic duty. Okay. The scholars may differ here. The point here. So the watertight compartmentalization between moral and civic duty does not exist here. It depends upon how you perceive it. Okay, how you interpret the duties here. Suppose I have interpreted, and many other scholars have also interpreted, that this is a civic as well as moral duty. Why? The question is, and to have compassion for living creatures. The compassion can be of multiple types. You can become a vegan. You can become a vegetarian. You have compassion. You have shown your compassion towards animals by not killing them, but you are still consuming milk. But you are still consuming milk products. Okay. Okay. You are consuming milk products. The milk which is not meant for you, which is meant for the offspring of that cattle or that milch animal. So you can be said that you are not following your duty. So multiple interpretation can be there. We have G, and last, okay, still to have scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry. Yeah, so this is important. Like, see, there's nothing much to read in this. Okay, so I'll just read it wherever I find it important. I'll just explain it. To safeguard public property and to abjure violence. It is mentioned. See, okay. as per as my speculation or as per as my guess, I believe that in the coming year, in the coming means, okay, in the future also, as okay, I have derived this speculation or my guess from this year's 2026 prelims paper. And they would ask you that whether this word or this concept is explicitly mentioned in the constitution or not. Okay, so you have to be a bit skeptical, yeah, a bit cautious here. Okay, like you see the protests were there. Okay, so this time protests were there, CJP protests were there, and also various projects protests are there. So the question can be asked, is it mentioned in the constitution that we should, okay, is it directly mentioned in the constitution that we should safeguard public property? Okay, and if you have not gone through this fundamental duties, surely chances are there that you will make mistake here. And the question comes here: to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. Here, this is one of the principle. Sorry, this is one of the duties here. Now the last duty, it was added by 86th Constitution Amendment Act. 86th Constitution Amendment Act, and okay, what changes it did do? Fundamental right. It made primary education from 16 to 14 years compulsory. And in fundamental principle, what new article? Okay, what did it introduce? 86, this 86th Constitution Amendment Act. And see, remember this article, okay, this fundamental right, it was not Article 21A, okay, right to education. It became effective after 8 years, almost 8 years. So you have to remember this also, because lots of questions are have already been asked on right to education. But okay, this date is also important. This amendment was brought in 2002, but this amendment, that means right to education, became effective from 1st of April 2010. But the point here to remember these things also. So in fundamental principle, that means DPSP, what changes were made? Okay, the changes were made that up to 0 to 6 years, okay, the state has to take care of the education and nourishment of children. Then in fundamental duty, what was added here? It was added, who is the parent? It shall be the duty of every citizen of India, okay, who is a parent or guardian to provide opportunities for education to this child, or as the case may be, ward between the age of 6 and 14. Opportunities for education to his child. So this is the fundamental duty that was added, and this duty is for whom? A person who is a parent or a guardian to a child aged between this. No point here. So these are some of the 11 duties we have. So provide education to children, civic duty, renounce violence, protect public property, strive for excellence in all fields. Okay, this is obviously it's a civic duty because we already have a right, already have a law for this, Right to Education Act. Okay, develop scientific temper, humanism, reform, spirit of inquiry, and we have seen that how do you define scientific temper? Okay, it's a bit difficult to maintain here. And protect environment. This has moral and civic duties also. We have already discussed it. So show compassion. This becomes the moral principle, and this is the civic part. Protect public property. It's a civic duty here. And now the question comes here. We have already seen the classification, moral versus civic duty. So what are moral duties? These are broad ethical obligations here, difficult to enforce legally. Example, have compassion for animals. So how do you interpret compassion? Does it mean that a vegetarian is more compassionate towards animals than a non-vegetarian? Okay, so perception and interpretation depends here. And for civic duties, we have concrete obligations. Like, okay, if you have a flag code here, Okay, it says that respect national anthem or respect national flag. There's a set of rules for that. Okay, and this will and how the respect of national flag. Okay, this will not vary. The respect, how a person respects national flag, this will not vary from person to person. Okay, if you are following this flag code, that means you're showing your respect. If you're not following this flag code, that means you're showing your disrespect here. Okay. Then what we have? So what are the what is the criticism? Like that. The first criticism is vague language. Excellence. How do you define excellence here? It says that to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rise to level of endeavor and achievement. How do you define these terms? Very difficult to define. Like scientific temper, humanism, spirit of inquiry and reform. So these are moral duties, and they're subject to multiple interpretation. Then what we have? Scientific temper. Many duties are moral, difficult to enforce. Okay, right from the beginning of the of the class, we have discussed it. Okay, that how moral obligations or moral duties are a bit difficult to enforce. Like we have seen that compassion example. Few duties are civic, also clearly defined and legally supported. That's a point here. Then one more thing we have. You've seen this. Let us see an overview of. Okay, now the question comes here. Okay, why fundamental duties? Okay, like philosophical part, this part you can mention in your. Okay, what is the importance of discussing this part? First importance is your interview. Second is essay writing, essay or your text paper, means paper. So here, interview, essay or mains paper. This is important of discussing this part. Okay, like if you see this dharma, this word, it's present in the text also, ancient text also. Ancient text also. What does it mean? Does it mean religion? No, it doesn't mean religion. It means the moral, sorry, it means the obligations. Obligations or duties. Dharma. Like we have Raj Dharma. What is the dharma of the king? Or what is the dharma? That means what are the obligations? Or what are the duties of the king? What are the obligations of the monarch? Raj Dharma. Okay. That means inculcation or inclusion of fundamental duties explicitly into the Constitution of India shows that we are following the traditional practices or traditional rationale of dharma. That means duty and rights go hand in hand, right? Earlier the kings had rights. They had rights. They can punish anybody. They can declare war. They can give immunity to anyone. But they also had duties. And if you see our political philosophy, okay, from where the king derives its power, the king in just a bit philosophical, political philosophy. Okay, the king in India, that Indian subcontinent, was a divine person. He is Okay, but he did not have divine rights. Point here. Divine person, but he did not have divine rights. That means if the king did not perform its functions, okay, if the king did not perform its Raj Dharma, he was bound to renounce, or he has to, okay, somebody has to come and dethrone him. So this is the duty. It's already mentioned in the ancient text. Okay, the political philosophy of the king. Okay, the power of the kings. From where does the king derive its power? Okay, so the point here is that if the kings had rights, they had duty also. So this rationale of dharma, or this ancient, okay, concept of dharma is still present, or it is reflected in the Constitution of India through fundamental duties. That means rights and duties go hand in hand here. Like based on dharma, duties over rights, duties are also there. So what does it represent here? Duties represent here pluralism. We have tolerance. Tolerance means, okay, if you talk about any civilization in power, any civilization, they have always shown respect to women. Okay, even in wars, women and children, they were not touched. Obviously exceptions are there. Okay, but in most of the war, women and children, they were given safe passage. Okay, so okay, and this is also reflected, okay, in our fundamental duties also. Then it reflects tolerance. Tolerance means if you're enjoying rights, you have to let others also enjoy these rights. If you're saying, if you have the right, okay, if you have the right to practice a religion, you also have the duty to let others also practice their religion. It means you are showing pluralism. You are not interfering, you are not intervening in the religious practice, or you are not intervening in the personal affairs of anybody. So same thing here, rights and duties go hand in hand. Another thing, what is the reflection of duty? So already, how does performing your duty reflect that you have, okay, shows pluralism here, because you respect others also, and pluralism is coexistence. It is, just a second, peaceful coexistence. I will enjoy my rights and I'll let you also enjoy your rights. So, okay, you're just performing your duty towards the society. So that is pluralism. Pluralism means existence of multiple, means more than one ideologies, or more than different minded people at a place. Okay. Environmental protection also we have. Okay, if you see our traditional practices, I'm not talking about any religion, please. Okay, I'm talking about the concept of dharma here. Okay, this is also in Buddhism. It talks about also environmental protection, right? Because nature worship is there, even from Indus Valley civilization and other also there are traditional society that has worshipped nature. If you see a moon, it's a sort of nature worship. Okay. Oh, okay. That is fine here. And rights and duties, two sides of the same coin. Yes, already discussed here. Every right creates a corresponding duty. Okay. Example, okay. Right to religion, it's a duty here. Okay. If you have a right to religion, if you have the right to practice your religion, you have also the duty to respect other beliefs also, because if you practice your own religion and you disturb others from practicing your religion, others will also do. That means you won't be, if you're not performing your duty properly, okay, surely others will also interfere in your religious practices. So rights and duties go hand in hand. So there's a very famous quote from Mahatma Gandhi. It says that if citizens perform duties, rights will follow naturally. That means if each one of us, like Suppose let us create a case here. Example. To promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectarial diversity. To renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Suppose this is a duty. This is a duty. If you do not disturb anybody, no point here. If you do not disturb anybody, then surely you can enjoy your rights properly. That is the point here. No point here. Okay, other significance, warns against antisocial activities also encourages. And one more thing, citizens cannot be passive participants. See, citizens cannot be passive participants in a democracy. Simple example. What is passive participants? Suppose this is a person. This person is smoking. This is smoking. And this is another person. This person is not smoking, but this is smoke. Indirectly he is smoking. He is directly not smoking. So this is passive smoking. Similarly, if the government makes laws and the executive implements it, how will the government have feedback whether the law is correct? One thing, whether the law is correct, two questions can be asked. How will the government know whether a law is derogatory or law is is not the effect of the law, or the law is not serving the purpose for which it was enacted? How will the government know? And the second thing, whether implementation is as planned or not, or implementation is as per the need or not, as per the requirement or not. How will the government know? If the people means if the citizens, they just sit idle and they do not give their feedback to the government, how will the government know? These are passive citizens. An example of active citizens, these are the people. The people had certain issue with NEET examination. Do not give this example, I'll give some other example. So active citizens are those that constantly give feedback to the government. How they can give? If a law is being framed, a draft of the law is placed for public feedback on the website of the ministry which is framing the law, drafting the law. You can give your feedback here. This is the real textbook example. I could have explained you with the help of that NEET protesters also, but let us keep it academic itself. Because that will show a sort of biasness. So draft of law, you can give your feedback here. You are active parts. You have shown that you are an active citizen. But if you are passive citizen, what you will do? You will just in your drawing room, in drawing room talks or with your friends, you will just criticize the government. How will the government know? Technically, the government knows, but still you have to give your feedback to the government and become an active citizen. So this is the here encourages active participation in nation building. So these duties are also a sort of feedback mechanism to the government here. Now the question comes here, relation between fundamental right, DPSP, and and fundamental duties. All these complement each other. How they complement each other? First thing is, one is, two of them are, these are the duties of the state. These are the duties of state, and this is the duty of the citizen. Okay. And if you see citizen, one of the best example is when it comes to education. All the threes have provision regarding education. We've already seen that example last time. Okay. Article 1H, sorry, K. Article 1K, the 11th one. Sorry, Article 51, Article 51A, subclause. Okay, or it's a clause here. Article 51, clause K. This is talking about education, and we have fundamental rights, and DPSP also related to the same. We have seen the example. This point here. Now the question comes here: how does the judiciary interpret fundamental duties, the provisions of the fundamental duty? How what the stance? The better what is the stance of the judiciary on fundamental duties here? Okay, the first thing, are fundamental duties legal in status? They are enforceable in the court of law? No, they are not enforceable in the court of law. That means if you violate, you won't be punished for that. Okay, you will be punished for violation of fundamental duties only if there's a law regarding that. Yeah, like one can say that if fundamental duties are not enforceable, and if I disrespect the national flag, if I disrespect the national anthem, then according to this status of fundamental duty, I should not be punished. No, you won't be punished for violation of a fundamental duty. You will be punished for violation of the flag code. Not here. So that is the difference here. So legal status similar to DPSP. The court has said that they are in status similar to DPSP. Okay, that means they are not directly enforceable in the court. Means if a law is made for the enforcement of any fundamental duties, then sure they are enforceable. That means the status is similar to DPSP's. However, the state can enact laws to implement them. But if these are not implemented, can the petitioner directly approach the Supreme Court under Article 32 for violation of any of the fundamental duties? And if a law already exists here, no, that cannot be done, because writs can be issued only for the enforcement of fundamental rights, not for the enforcement of fundamental duties. Even if the Parliament has enacted, if the Parliament has a law for enforcement of any provision mentioned in the for any provision mentioned in fundamental duties here. Okay, so the question here: who should respect the national flag? National flag, citizen has to respect it. Okay, then we have already seen that these fundamental duties, these are applicable only for citizens. So does that imply that a non-citizen, that means a foreigner, can that person disrespect the flag? No. The Supreme Court has said this: an alien is not bound to respect or the national flag, but national flag or national anthem, but they cannot disrespect it. What the point here? This is the difference here. Applicable. So what are the laws here? So the question comes here. You see, Supreme Court, in the previous slide we have seen that their legal status similar to DPSP, and we have seen that by 25th CA 31C was inserted. What does the article say? That if any directive principle, if the Parliament implements a law, if the Parliament frames a law for implementation of any DPSP present in Article 39, clauses B and C, then even if this law violates any article under 19, under Article 14 and 19, then this law, okay, will not be a traverse of the Constitution, even if it violates these two right here. That means in this case, directive principle is given more importance than fundamental right. So does it mean that if the Parliament brings any law that for implementation of any fundamental duty on certain ground, in that case will the status of fundamental duty be more than, that means is there any case where the importance or the status of fundamental duty can be more than fundamental right? Is there a case? Yes, in certain cases it can be there. What is the case here? The court has said laws implementing fundamental duties can survive challenge if they satisfy. We have seen a reasonable classification under Article 14. What does it say? That alike can be treated unlike. That means, certain classification or reasonable classification can be based on ground of disability. Similarly here, there were reasonable restrictions on Article 19. So if the Parliament passes a law implementing any provision mentioned in fundamental duties, and if these two clauses, reasonable classification and reasonable restrictions, they are satisfied, then in that case the Parliament can bring a law. That means in very exceptional cases the status of fundamental right, the status of fundamental duty becomes slightly higher than the fundamental right, because fundamental right can be altered or can be either can be altered or they can be subsided for implementation of fundamental duties. So these are some exceptional cases. Two conditions should be there, or reasonable classification under Article 14 and reasonable restriction under Article 19. Now let's look at some of the important judgments here. This MC Mehta, Mr. Mehta, he was an environmentalist lawyer and an environmental activist here. So a PIL was filed by him against pollution in Ganga, all the Lucknow sewer, the sewer of the towns, sewer and tanneries were there, and their water, and the dirty water, sewage water and the water from tanneries, it was just drained into Ganga, and Ganga had become very polluted. So a PIL was filed here, protection of Ganga, and special steps need to be taken. So in this judgment, the court mentioned that we will not discuss other environmental effects also, that what did the court direct the municipalities of the neighboring of all of the towns situated on the Ganga. We will not discuss that. Only will discuss important the points in this judgment that are related to fundamental duty. So what did the judiciary mention? It said that environmental education should be made compulsory up to class 10. That is fine here. Even if you have studied engineering, and in my engineering paper, we had this environmental paper. In first year it was compulsory paper. And because of that paper, it was very helpful in civil service examination, because nearly 20 to 30% of the syllabus of civil services, it was covered in that paper. So if you're applying for civil services and if you are still in engineering, better read your books. Okay, or if you have any chapter on environment, okay, okay, please attend those classes regularly if you're still okay, pursuing your bachelor's. One point here. And similarly follows for other streams also. If you're doing your bachelor's or master's, and if any of your classes, the syllabus of any of your subjects, okay, 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 it's mentioned in the same syllabus, you have similar syllabus with civil services, better give more importance to those classes. Attend regular means attend all the lectures of that classes. So this strategy you can have. Okay. So it said that it directed that this that the government should prepare environmental books, text books on environment, and these books should be subsidized also, so that children can easily buy them. Okay, and then it also ordered that teacher training environmental study should be made compulsory, and on annual cleanliness drive, it should be organized here. So these are the basic points here. You can mention this judgment even, okay, even in your essays when you are writing anything about okay, how India perceive or how the judiciary perceives, okay, okay, environmental threats, and those you can mention here. Then see, this is pronounced as cleanliness. It is not cleanliness. It is pronounced as cleanliness. Cleanliness. It is not cleanliness. It is pronounced cleanliness. The point here. Okay, and involve executive, judiciary. These are some of the broad points here. Now, what is the case here? Yamuna Shankar Mishra case here. Okay. So this judgment was related to this article. This G, to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. So now we have another article here. To strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. So, okay, my trainer, that means from where I have studied polity, okay, he included this case, so that's why I'm also including this case. So if you become civil service, okay, if you become a civil servant, you will have annual progress report, APR, annual progress report. Earlier it was termed annual confidential report. So here, this judgment, it said that strive for excellence, this annual report should be maintained, okay, and it should be objective, it should not be subjective. What a point here, because if that is made subjective, and okay, a lot of attention is not given for filing this report, then how will you achieve excellence? How will you achieve excellence? Why? Because how will you know that which civil servant should be promoted? Okay, and if a biased person, a person who has okay, who has not performed, but he has used his contacts, okay, to influence his APR, surely if that person is promoted, that person will not lead to excellence in services. So it said that this biasness should reduce here, and it should be made subjective here, encourage excellence in public service. So this was the case here. Okay, so okay, for next class, what we in the next class, what we'll do, we'll have a national anthem case, then we'll analyze and review fundamental fundamental duties. Then some questions are there, we'll discuss those questions. Okay, for the time being, thank you. Have a good day.